Well, howdy everyone. I'm taking a look at one of my terrariums here, and I think you can see there's a pretty thick layer of coco across the bottom. And what I want to talk about is a wicking bed. Things are doing pretty good in here. Got a ping here. And that liverwort is taking off. It's doing a lot better than the moss, actually. I'm kind of surprised, but the moss, it's hit or miss. So I have a Venus flytrap here, and it's technically supposed to be an outside plant because it needs a dormancy period, but it's been in here for a while and it's doing okay. And then there's another butterwort over here, and then I've got my truncata here, and it's doing pretty good. But the reason I want to talk to you about this is a self-watering system. It's a wicking bed. Now you can see I have a gauge here in the corner, and it's full. So what it is, basically, this is just a tank filled with coco coir a couple of inches deep. You don't need to use a terrarium. You can do this with a tray of any kind. You just need to be able to hold a couple of inches of media and some water, and it will work. I use terrariums because I want the extra humidity for my plants, but this will work even with houseplants. You wouldn't want to use it on succulents or cactus because they don't like to stay wet, but any plant that wants moist soil consistently, it will work for. Now this Nepenthes here is kind of an anomaly. Now technically this is a carnivorous plant, but it's not a marsh plant like a lot of the other carnivorous plants. It grows, kind of like in jungles on the forest floor. It does like to be consistently moist, but it doesn't like to be in a bog. However, this is kind of set so that the majority of the roots are, above, the plant is above the water line. However, it could do just as well sitting on the surface. I had moved it down to give it more space from the light, but don't have to do that. So I've been online, and I always do a lot of research, and so I was looking at ways to grow Nepenthes, and I came across a bunch of videos that used wicking beds. However, my method is a lot easier. What I saw was people using a tray or a tote or an aquarium, and they, instead of using coco as a media like I have here, they did this deal where they had like egg crate or something like that, and they raised up a bunch of synthetic cloth to wick, and it was kind of, I could see how it works, and it's a good system, but this is a lot simpler. The less moving parts, the better. So they had this wicking material, and it would sit on something that would keep it above a tray filled with water, but the ends would be in the water so that it could wick water up. And then they would fill it from a corner, and they would set their plants on it. Now the thing about that is that if you don't have the pot touching the mat, it won't wick. And some pots have raised holes in them, and so they don't all touch, or sometimes none of them touch. With this system, you can just bury the pot in the media, which is what I've done, like for this ping here and this one over here. And you know, you can see this one is kind of above, but you can set up you can set a pot right on the surface, and as long as it's touching, you'll be fine. Now there are other things you can do. There is I bought some wicking cord. It's like a polypropylene cord. Okay, so we're switching over. This is going to be my Nepenthes terrarium. You can see there's a fairly thick layer of coco coir, and we're going to go inside this here. This is a coco coir base. Again, you can probably see I've got in the corner, maybe you can't, in the corner here, I have a gauge that shows the water level. So this is basically a few inches of cocoa. And then there's some moss and stuff on there. These plants are going out. They were part of an experiment to see whether I could keep Sarracenias overwintered. And you can, but like this one is starting to fade. This one is still pretty strong, but I got this one. This is the first growing season. This is the second. So they're going out. Anyway, I have here a Nepenthes. I don't know what kind it is. A friend of mine found it. It was kind of a large vine, but it had no pictures, and he just said, well, here you go. He gave it to me as a birthday present and said, well, you know, if you can't save it, nobody can. So I grew it for a while. It made a really long vine. No pictures. I just chopped it back. I think you can see I've got a new leaf with a picture on it. So it will probably come back, but the reason I want to show it to you is so you can see this wicking cord. And this one just sets on top of the soil. However, you can bury your plants kind of like these are. I won't do it as deep for Nepenthes, but I'm going to get 2 more to plant in here. So I've set this tank up. I've got a light way up here, and I've set up a trellis so that these things can climb, because they do like to climb. So anyhow, this wicking bed idea is the simplest way to keep plants watered. And you don't need to do it in an aquarium. You can do it in any flat tray, you know, that's a couple inches tall, and you can do it pretty much for any type of house plant that doesn't mind having moist soil. I wouldn't do it for cactus or succulents, but most house plants will do fine in this. Most tropical house plants are used to being moist, and this will keep them evenly moist, and it can save them if you forget to water, or you want to go on a trip and you don't want to rely on a neighbor to water your plants, which doesn't always work out. So okay, so there's a couple of examples of a wicking bed. It's pretty simple, really, just coco coir. Fill it up with water. This is a mix of coco coir, and there are some stones in there, some grow stones and stuff, but that's not necessary. It's basically just soak the cocoa and keep it hydrated, and it will transfer the water by capillary action. Just make sure the bottom of your pot is touching the media so that it can wick the moisture. If it's not touching, you can use those wicking cords like I showed you on the bottom of the pot. Otherwise, you can just dig it in a little bit into the coco coir, and that'll take care of it. But this is a much simpler system than using egg crate or other kinds of things and then spreading out a synthetic fabric and waiting for it to wick. You can do that, it'll work. This is just a lot simpler, and probably, considering the cost of egg crate, this is probably cheaper. Egg crate, I like it and I've used it. It's not that cheap, and coco coir, anyway, I think you can do a lot more with it than a piece of egg crate, and it's reasonably priced. So, anyhow, here's my update. I think Grogu here approves. Take good care of yourself. Happy gardening. Don't forget, stay green. All right, bye-bye.